marks the solemnity of St. Joseph, patron saint of the universal church. Across the globe, the Catholic faithful are celebrating the spouse of Mary, who has been long venerated by the universal church. And joining us now is Vice President of EWTN News, as well as church historian Dr. Matthew Bunson. Matthew, great to be with you today.
Great to be with you, especially on a wonderful solemnity like this one.
Yeah, it's so wonderful to have you with us. So tell us, why March 19th?
Yeah, customarily we associate the feast days of a saint, in this case St. Joseph, with the day that they died. And in fact, there is that connection here. Historically, we're not exactly sure what day St. Joseph died on. But there is a tradition in the Eastern Church that connects him to Christmas or right around there. But there's also a tradition in Bethlehem that was picked up, especially in the Latin Rite in Western Europe, of March 19th. What's interesting is that Pope Blessed Pius IX, in his 1870 decree, sort of codifying St. Joseph as the patron of the Church, specifically lists March 19th. But then he also promulgated that decree on December 8th. It was a tough year in 1870, the loss of the Papal States. So Pope Pius was making a point of connecting the beautiful story of Joseph with Mary. He was the custodian, he was her earthly husband, he was the defender of that holy family. And so there is this great tie to December 8th, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, in the same way that Joseph is always tied to salvation history.
Yeah, and since the late 19th century, we've really seen a growing appreciation for St. Joseph. In 1889, as you well know, Pope Leo XIII wrote a prayer to St. Joseph's to be said after the Rosary, and in 1955, Pope Pius XII instituted the feast day of St. Joseph of the Worker on May 1st, in part to fight back against secularism and the communist holiday of May 1st. And as recently as 2021, Pope Francis declared a year of St. Joseph. So I guess it begs the question, why is St. Joseph so special?
Well, we can add to that some of the great writings of Pius XI in 1937, who included St. Joseph as one of the great defenders against communism. We have the encyclicals of Pope St. John Paul II, Redemptoris Custos. So there has been, throughout the whole of modern papal history, this beautiful reflection on St. Joseph. You can ask why. I think it's twofold. First, we see his role as custodian, as defender of the Holy Family, which was also sort of even more than an analogy, represented the church. And so him as patron of the church makes perfect sense. But he's also somebody who, as Pope Benedict XVI and Pope Francis have noted, had humility and hiddenness in his life, this quiet beauty about him, this stalwartness, but most of all, his fidelity and obedience to what God was asking him to do. And so we turn to St. Joseph in all of those special roles.
Yeah, and before I let you go, we're almost out of time, but what else should we know about St. Joseph?
Yeah, well, St. Joseph, of course, is the patron of a good death. He is also known as the terror of demons, in part because of that steadfastness, that remarkable dignity that he possessed, but also his powerful intercessory prayer. St. Teresa of Avila always turned to him. Pope Francis turns to him. He has a statue of St. Joseph on his desk, sleeping. And he says that when he has a problem that he needs to think about, he'll write out the problem and he'll put it under the statue of St. Joseph sleeping, and he knows that St. Joseph will be there as an intercessor, as he is for all of us.
Thank you so much, Matthew.
Great to be with you.
Great to be with you as well. God bless.